We are live on Substack and we are looking at resetting this section and really wanting to look at this replacing push with curiosity. And so in this section, we're going to get curious, look at what experiences and thoughts happen when we're in the bedrock of our mind, and being able to ground and be present instead of getting trapped in our performance. So I'm really glad that you're here. Let's settle before we begin. So take a big deep breath in. Drop those shoulders. Unclench your jaw. Make sure that your toes are making biscuits on the floor. My cat lovers know exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to slowly inhale in and slowly exhale out. Let's do one more count of 4. Inhale in and out on 8. 7, 8. So for the past few weeks, we've been naming survival. And tonight we're going to shift on how you move when we're in those survival states. It's about replacing push with curiosity. If you're anxious high achiever, then you know that your default strategy is push. Push harder, push through, push yourself, push the timeline, push the feeling away. And pushing will work until it no longer does. Push activates performance, but performance is often protection, and protection is not sustainable growth. Think about that. Push activates performance. Performance is protection, and protection is not sustainable growth. Our mind will halt growth for survival, and performance will halt that growth. And so why the push backfires is that when we are pushing from a dysregulated state, we are asking a threatened nervous system to accelerate. And that can create either one of two outcomes: overdrive or shutdown. Overdrive looks like hyper-focusing, overworking, and ignoring your body. Shutting down looks like procrastination, numbing, and avoidance. It's here where we will have either fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Push doesn't solve survival. It actually is going to intensify it. Many times within my coaching sessions, I find that people, and we're going to explore this in one of our Thursday Neurohumanity Framework series, so stay tuned. It is coming. Exploring this idea, I keep seeing it show up over and over again. And in the next couple of weeks, we are all about, am I present or am I performing? And what's happening is as we get into this performance state, we're running against perceived expectations, perceived reality, all of those implicit memories that we have been taught once we're in those survival states. And we're getting stuck in the bedrock of the mind. And so that means we have the narrative and we have the list of things we do under that narrative. like the example that I gave a couple of times, which is it's a school night. So we have a lot of these. Um, we have what it is to be successful at work, what it is to be on the career track, what it is to be an A student, what it is to be a good husband or spouse or partner or friend, or like we have these kind of checklists. And we have the same checklists for what it is to binge or to kind of release. I'm going to say release. Binging sounds terrible. Failure is even worse. I'm going to go with release. And so we have, mom's night out, we have spring break or summer, we have vacation, we have honeymoon. So we have, trips, travel. We have all these reasons that we can release. We don't have to perform anymore, so we can completely release. And then there are times where we need to perform, but we are burned out and we can't use the narrative any longer. We're like, nope, I see you. I see everything I need to do. Nope, 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 nope. I can't do it. And so we get stuck. We have nothing that we can use over here because our system is like danger, 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 Will Robinson. Absolutely not. We have nothing over here to say, well, just release. And so you're kind of stuck. You should and could be doing something quicksand thinking. You can't access your success narratives in the bedrock. You don't have any in release narratives in the bedrock. So you're forced to be relegated in the tar pit. That tar pit does not feel good. But remember, there's no hierarchy. There's no one place better than the other. And so when we can realize that we're living in the tar pit more often than we want to, I think it's June or July. Do not quote me. I want to say it's July. It's going to be, it's going to be this month is bedrock and we're learning how to burrow. Next month is the quicksand. Some really great stuff on cultivating mental blooms, on what's happening in the quicksand, how do we mend our soil. Then we're going to actually tend our garden. And then in July, we're actually going to look at the tar pit. And so we've got a lot of great stuff happening there. Really deep work happening in the tar pit because other people are pulling us into their tar pits and they're asking us to make mud pies when your boss is emailing you after a certain hour. He's literally, or she is literally asking you to make mud pies with them and their inner child in the tar pit of their mind. I'm just going to let that land. I'm going to let you sit with them, but that's exactly what is happening. And as you're in this panic that you need to do this because you think you're going to be fired and you're lowering your value and you're crushing your relationships, because 3 paths, 1 human story, it's all connected. As you lower your value and capacity in one, you are directly lowering your value and capacity in the other 2. And when you mend one and you fix one and you're aware with one, you're going to already have immediate growth in the other 2. And so as we are here in the tar pit and we're not really sure what we're doing is we're pulling on really a lack of identity. Because remember, if we are an anxious high achiever, we have a lot of identity in work, in performance. And so now if we've lost that because we can't connect to that narrative, it feels like we've lost everything. And when we look at the negative dynamics in those 338 feedback loops, you can bet your britches you're over 200. That's a lot of entanglement. That's a lot of spirals. If you want to know more about the negative dynamic and the feedback loops, it's kind of a book a coaching session kind of thing. It's a lot, it's complicated, and it's so individualized, even though behavior is predictable. When you are kind of getting into helplessness, hopelessness, your inner house, which we just explored in last month in March, cultivating mental blooms, you're deep. You have a lot of your past weighing on you, over 200 feedback loops of your past weighing on you. And a feedback loop is one from cognitive behavioral therapy is if I am depressed, then I don't do anything. So when I don't do anything, I must be depressed. Or I'm anxious because I'm avoiding, not doing anything. So it's one feeds the other and it gets you trapped. So can you imagine if that is multiplied by 200? you're not going to want to get out of bed. You're not going to want to do a lot. And that's okay. That's the tar pit. That's where you're coming from. You're living in the tar pit. You're thinking in the tar pit, and it's okay. We find presence so we know how to perform, or we know how to be present so that we can respond while activated. It's an important thing. So definitely book a coaching session, message me so you can get that feedback, because you're in a place where you could use some individual help. And the beauty of neurohumanity is it's not about diagnosis. It's about understanding and realizing we're all in the same soil metaphor. We're all everywhere. We're all trying to tend our own garden, and it's not that easy. And so, as we're in these states and we're trying to find our identity and we're living beneath the soil, we find presence so that we can let life present. And then, as we are present and let life present, remember in the bedrock, we're building a root cellar and finding scaffolding through containment. In the bedrock, in the tar pit, in the bedrock, we are building a den, and that's what we're exploring this month in Cultivating Mental Blooms. And we're nourishing the roots and what's going to become the basement of our mind. Some good rec happening there, good place for kind of overflow. It's a great place to be, and an excellent addition to your internal house. And as we nourish the roots, then we can mend the soil of the quicksand of the mind and intentionally plant the garden that we want. This is neurohumanity. This is tending our own garden. And so we need to go below in order to tend our garden and replant our garden with intention. And so, how do we do this? We have our Mastering the Inner Game. I do want to do a quick plug because I'm very, very excited. So I'm going to put in the comments our link. We actually just launched today. Very, very excited. Mastering the Inner Game. It's taking my 3 key steps to live a happier and healthier life. Part 1 is a life worth living, all based on DBT principles. 2 is going to be emotional regulation, and 3 is going to be interpersonal connectedness. And so each part goes through 9 sections of monitoring, being aware, finding acceptance, and finding action on how to create lasting change, and using this neurohumanity framework to learn, apply, reflect. And so we're taking parts and pieces from each of those books, and I'm putting it into our master course. And so it's a self-paced course. There are 5 lessons. You learn about emotional regulation and why it's so crucial to be able to maintain grounding and find that sense of presence. You learn what executive function is and what this inner CEO is really starting to build. And decision making gets put inside that. And then you learn about negotiating value and interpersonal skills of how do I present myself to others? How do I lead myself so that I can lead others? So it's a great way, no cost, no risk, to truly experience what we're doing at Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions. And so one part of this that I share often as we're trying to get past the survival system is be able to get curious. And when we get curious, what we're doing is we're replacing push with curiosity. Curiosity becomes paramount in our ability to build lasting change. And so it's important to hear this. Curiosity is going to pull you into the scientific mindset. Instead of pushing and saying, why am I like this? Why do I do this all the time? Favorite emoji? Come on, Jen. Favorite emoji. I do it all the time. Not as much recently. I am proud to say not as much. But I was really, man, did I have a lot of ADHD attacks. And it was frustrating at best. And so as we slow down, then we get curious. We ask ourselves, what is happening here? Instead of feeling like we need to perform and I need to fix this, we say, what might feel safer? Curiosity is not passive, it's not avoidance, it's regulated leadership. It's taking that time to pause so that you can press play intentionally. Had a thought. I was talking to some of my clients recently, maybe yesterday, maybe last week, everything kind of blends. And it was like, if life were remote, we would only have pause and play. You can't really stop because that's freeze or avoidance. You don't want to rewind because it's just looking back and there's no point in that. There's nothing in our past that's actually helping us. All we're doing is hoarding stress. That's not good. We can't fast forward because fast forwarding, I mean, you can. It doesn't serve you to fast forward. Please help. You can fast forward. It doesn't serve you to fast forward because that's just like rushing through the door. It's just like, get me through this, kind of that overworking avoidance. Like, I just need to get past this. Once I'm past this, it's pushing. But pausing lets us reflect and find the present, act intentionally with integrity under activation, and play pulls us into a state of purpose to utilize our value and our capacity. Remember, value, capacity, motivation are all connected, so that we're intentionally acting amongst micro steps, and those compound to really big changes. And so, as we're stepping into curiosity, what we're doing is we're not performing any longer to an imagined audience. We're starting experimenting on our own understanding. The audience becomes internal and not judgmental, not why did you do that? Ugh. But making small changes, independent adjustment, and gathering and pooling and observing data points. Not because we're trying to prove our best record. These are not PR moments, but because we value ourselves enough to learn what serves us and what doesn't. And this is how we find the catalyst for impact that will last. Not through force, but through presence. And so I want to give you a little simple shift that we can do as we are looking at this pivot towards curiosity. When you feel stuck, I want you to ask yourself an important question. 3 questions. 1, what is my nervous system protecting me from right now? Where is it activated? Are my shoulders tight? Are they lifted? Is my heart rate faster? Am I breathing shallower? So I feel it in my body. What narratives are coming up? What is it protecting me from? Number 2 is, what's the smallest safe movement available right now? Remember that 5% we did last week? I hope that did well with you. Please go and comment below when we have these activities. What is working? Provide insight and gain insight. It really does help in our wellness community. So, what's the smallest safe movement available right now? Is it to just pause, take a moment? Is it to ask, am I present or performing? What will help us in this moment right now? And the number 3 is what would 5% effort look like instead of 100%? If you were to cut back a little bit and just complete 5%. We started this last week. Get curious again. What would it look like? Because we're not trying to win today. We're gathering information. We're just pooling data points. Very solution focused. And in any session I have with clients, I give them a lot to leave with, but I want them to feel supported in between sessions. And so whether that's a week, 2 weeks, a month, a quarter, depending on where they're at in their journey, I share with them, think of this like a buffet. You don't go to a buffet so that you can have a bunch of no thank you bites and perform for somebody. People are not making food for a buffet because they care about what you think about each individual food and how they cooked it, right? It's a sit down meal, it's a prefix menu. A buffet is there for an intention. And so once you pay to kind of get your intention set, whether that's all you can eat crab legs, or maybe it's having multiple dishes from, you know, the Asian cuisine, whatever the case may be, you do it for the variety, you set an intention and you go for it. And you don't eat everything, but you find what your intention is and then you move towards dishes related to that. And my emails are very much like that. It's not about doing everything, as you hear every week on my videos for the challenge. If you haven't, go check them out. It's about doing one thing every day and pressing play every day. And now what we're saying is not only do you need to press play every day, but you need to take time out within your day to find your pause. And as you press play and find pause, what you're doing is you're gathering data points. You're getting curious and learning, is this serving me or not? Is this something I want to continue with? No judgment or not. Do I feel like this leads me to my values and towards my goals and success and getting me through the door? Or do I find it's keeping me in the comfort zone? And if you say yes about the comfort zone, no shame in the game. Don't judge. It's not your value, does not predict your outcomes. It is a reflection of where your nervous system is right now and what it's doing to protect you. Find out what the protection is. If it's that you don't really trust people and so the people around you are enough, then that's it. If it's because life is chaotic and you can't really know what life is going to do, whether we're going to have an economy in a while or the housing market's going to fall down, you don't know. What you know is what data you've already collected. What stressful events have you gone through that you are resilient through? When you can collect that data, not the, well, don't do that. That was stressful. We don't want to do it again. And all I do is react. I don't know why I would ever try. I just seem to go right back where I started. But when we take micro steps through curiosity, we start to realize just how capable we are. We start to get really purpose driven in the decisions we make so that we can gather more data. So this week, we're going to design a 7-day curiosity experiment. We move from concept into structure because if push has been your operating system, we need to install something new. So we're going to reboot this week. So I first want you to think about, pause so you can write this stuff down, is identify one pattern. Whether that's procrastination on meaningful work, overworking, avoiding hard conversations, or numbing at night, just choose one. Don't do everything. Choose one. Not your whole life, just one thing. Then step 2 is remove the outcome goal. Remember, we cannot control outcomes. So instead of saying, I need to finish this, shift to, I'm observing what's helping me initiate. Instead of, I need to stop overworking. Why do I do this? Ugh. I'm observing what happens when I pause at 80%. when I clock out at 4:30 instead of 6:30. This is going to remove your performance pressure. On step 3, we're going to define a 7-day micro experiment. So macro, now we're at micro. Open the document daily for 3 minutes. Stop working 10 minutes earlier than usual. Sit in silence for 2 minutes before checking your phone. Send one honest message instead of crafting the perfect one. Small, curious, repeatable, non-threatening, and definitely success-oriented. Find those small micro steps you can take to get curious on. See how they fit within your day. What does it look like? How does your body respond to that? And then start tracking without judgment, not I need to do more. I should and could, quicksand thinking. Do more of this. At the end of each day, just ask, did I try? Did I notice anything? What did I notice? What felt easier? What activated a resistance? I was like, I don't like that. These are things that when you sign up for our coaching, these are the activities we give you. And then you have the professional to talk with you to say, oh, I know exactly where you're at right now beneath the soil. That's great. Presence means that we can let life present. We hold that space with you. You're not in the tar pit alone. We're holding a space with you and allowing you to hold that space for yourself in the tar pit. We're not going to make mud pies with you. I'm so sorry. Tell your inner child we're going to heal it and give it a redefined purpose and job. It's not going to run the adult systems anymore. But what we are going to do is give you space. We're going to validate. We're going to offer some awareness acceptance actions, some solution focused activities so that you can be present, let life present, and find radical acceptance. We can't grade ourselves. We can't shame. We can't keep score. We just need to find the data and own our side of the street. Because here's the thing, 3 paths, 1 human story. It will show up at work. It will show up in your inner life and your value, your capacity, your ability to be present and meet your goals and your inner core values and purpose. And it's showing up in your relationships. The same narratives are in all 3. They are not compartmentalized, very different things. They're all united. And our neurohumanity homework is our framework and philosophy is really one of the only places you're going to see these being collective and not in separate places. And so here is the identity shift. When you operate from curiosity, you shift from a self-critic to a self-scientist. Because you're not broken, you're pattern. We just talked about this in the challenge 2 weeks ago. Learning what these patterns are so we can start building that inner CEO framework. Because patterns shift from repetition, not from punishment. The harder you push, it's like the Chinese finger trap. The harder you push, you're pulling, technically. You're resisting. But when you lean in, then you can release. And curiosity lets you lean in to release. And curiosity says, I am worth understanding, value and capacity all in one. But push will say, I am only worth improving. Because that's the identity piece, that my value is only how I perform. That's the tar pit. That's when we've run out of bedrock and now we're stuck in this muck of thickness that's just seeping out everywhere in the tar pit of our mind. And so I want to leave you with this. You do not need to dominate yourself to grow. You need to understand yourself. So let's take a slow breath, one hand on heart, one on stomach. Between now and Tuesday, I want you to find one micro experiment. Just get curious. Nothing dramatic, nothing impressive, nothing too large. Small, success-oriented steps. Consistent steps. And I will slow down. We will reset. And we will see you next week at 7. I'm Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions. Thank you for joining us on our continued mini course on living beneath the soil.